Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of a Brew for Two podcast. I'm your host, Brad, along with my co-host, Derek.
Hello.
We are here tonight on episode number 43, and we have our buddy Bill back with us.
Hello.
So we have lots to talk about on this episode, so let's get started. So before we jump into the news, usually we talk about ourselves, talk about our week, what's been going on with Bill and Derek and Brad.
Not a lot. I went into my Discord Thursday night. No, Wednesday. For the first time in like 3 weeks. My online friends there. And everyone was like, "Oh my god, you're alive!"
Wait, is this actually happening? Pinch me.
I haven't really been playing games on my computer for the last month.
Yeah.
So
You've been so work logged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of work and a lot.
Yeah, because you go from Thorold South, not even Thorold South, Thorold.
Yeah.
To anywhere they tell you.
It's more or less like getting back at 7-8 o'clock usually. And it's
yeah.
Till I get home, I don't really want to go on my computer and play video games. I think I'm just gonna lie in bed and watch Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm almost caught up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have 1.5 seasons left to go.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you watch The 100 at all?
No.
No?
Never watched it.
So The 100 came back with so now they're back on a weekly schedule. Because they took almost it felt like a month off. I don't know why, but they took a month, three weeks to a 14 something. They took a long time. It took a long time.
a lot of time. A lot of time.
And so they came back with this episode because early on in the season they teased that this one character was dead. But then I'm just like, no, he's not dead because he's a main character and this is not Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they never kill the main character off.
He's very popular with the show and he's very... So this episode was basically where he's been this whole time. So he got a grenade thrown at him. The explosion sucked him into this wormhole and he's been on a journey, a spiritual journey, a vision quest with the guy who's trying to kill him. They become friends because they're like, shit, we need to survive. So it's basically a survival story, and I would say it's a top tier episode of The 100.
I would just like to point out that the tradition of not killing the main character needs to be broken at some point.
Oh, Game of Thrones did break it.
No, I know, but
technically, but they just broke it for those specific seasonal characters, for Sean Beam and then the kids and everything.
If you didn't,
they weren't technically the main characters ever. They were kind of just there.
I gotta think Saving Private Ryan they did.
Well, because Jon Snow and oh my god,
Daenerys
Stormborn, they were the main characters.
But if you haven't read the books, if you never read the books,
I read the books.
Yeah, but I didn't read the books. So when I first saw Game of Thrones, when I saw for that first season of Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, hey, Sean Bean's in this.
He seems pretty important. They probably wouldn't never kill him off.
Surprise.
And then it's
chopped off.
And then it's hey, I don't know the rest of this cast yet, but they're going to be in Hollywood in the future. They're going to be more Hollywood bound in the future. But yeah, so I watched that first season, and then when Ned Stark gets his head chopped off, I'm just like, okay,
that's a great time. It's a great time.
Actually, I could recall when that I remember years ago talking to this coworker of mine that I used to work with, and he's like, "How could you recall what episode it was?" I'm like, because the greatest episode of all the Game of Thrones episode is always episode 9.
Yeah,
it's always
usually the second second to last or last episode. Usually,
it's barely ever the last episode. The last episode's always the ramifications of what just happened.
Yeah.
So, but even though the show's over, right? Even though the show's over, it's still the most pirated show online. People still are being pirates and downloading it online,
which is funny because it's on HBO. You want to watch it all, it's just there.
It's if you have a Crave TV subscription or if you have a HBO Max subscription, it's all there.
Yeah. For me, there's still a lot of shit in those shows that they should have had in, but they didn't put in.
What's an HBO subscription like for cost-wise?
So Crave. So because HBO is packaged with Crave.
Oh, okay.
We technically don't have HBO by itself.
No, I think with Crave and HBO it costs what, $23?
Yeah, $22 and like 80 cents
something
a month.
Yeah, it's not much. For how much you get with it, like I mean, you have access to every single HBO show.
Yeah,
you have access to everything that's on Crave, which is obviously like Letterkenny. You know,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
There's a lot on it.
It is a very good subscription to get because
honestly, right now at this point, I'd say it's better than Netflix. Like Netflix has some of their good originals, but like
Crave's exploded lately.
Well,
that's just the only reason being is because of the HBO thing.
Yeah, it's because of HBO.
Because they partnered with.
I find Netflix right now is kind of dropping, but they kind of have stuff lined up. Like Netflix is partnered with Nickelodeon. We're gonna talk about that later.
Yeah.
Netflix is partnered with Nickelodeon, so we might get like some new Nickelodeon stuff. We've already have like Invaders. They brought back Invader Zim and Roscoe's Modern Life.
Yeah.
Invader Zim.
Yeah.
And then and they have some. They have the Gerard Way, lead singer of My Chemical Romance, has a comic book. What's the word I'm looking for? He has a comic book. It's called The Umbrella Academy, but he also has many other comic books attached to that. So, like Lock and Key, it's all part of that universe anyway. Yeah. So they have that comic book brand, and because of that, they're gonna do some more stuff with that comic book brand. It might not come it might be in the early 2020s that we get that stuff on Netflix, but Netflix right now is really taking a look at okay, we're losing a streaming battle here. We need to start getting some new IPs. We were talking about this last week on the podcast that they're looking for a big blockbuster, like a Harry Potter or a Star Wars.
Yeah.
We were talking about this a little bit last week, but they want their like big action-packed movie franchise. And they want it to be an original idea.
Well, because that's what's gonna make it or break it. Is you have to want to go. They have to have something that the other services don't.
Yeah,
otherwise it's just.
Yeah, that's what I think with Netflix though. Is like they've just been rehashing stuff. Like they did the fucking Lethal Weapon series. Like,
is it on Netflix now?
Yeah.
Why would I go through canceling my current subscription? Go through the hassle of resubscribing somewhere else that has their own version of the same plot or the same kind of like turnout.
Well, the Lethal Weapon series was a series that came out, I believe the early 2010s, or maybe it's like 2015, and it got canceled in like after 2 seasons or maybe 3 seasons. It got canceled. It wasn't good at all.
And that was on Netflix.
It was on CBC.
Oh, CBC. Okay.
So and Netflix it was on City TV. And Netflix in Canada has like. All of the CBC shows are all on Netflix Canada and stuff like that. But yeah, I currently watched the 100 episode. It was a top tier episode, and
just right back to by the way, the 100.
Yeah, I tried to get into 100. I think I watched a few episodes of it, but that show is not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
who is in that?
Not really anybody you would know.
Not anybody you would know. No.
See, I think honestly, like a lot of shows like that don't. Feature mainstream A+ celebs.
Well, the only reason why I got into that show in the first place was because I am a big fan of Lost, and the one character they had in Lost named Desmond Hume, played by Henry Ian Cusack, was on that show, and I'm like, hey, it's Desmond, and I'm just like, so I tuned in. It also has like the.
I they follow the same thing. I mean, they're on a desolate place. Like they're just, they're trying to survive. Like it's not the same. Obviously, not the same concept as Lost because I watched one episode with you and I was immediately confused. So,
well, you kind of came in on a.
Well, yeah, because they're piling back and forth between the present and the past, but it wasn't the present, but it was also the past. But it could have been the future.
I lose that so fast. Like,
I don't know what the fuck was going on.
But like
one time they're in the hospital talking to you, and then they're talking about something else. But
I had a hard enough time with Inception.
But I don't know. Like, were they talking about the past, or were they talking about their future?
No, it's so Lost is like, okay, there's what's currently going on, and then there's a flash sideways that's a parallel universe that that happens in season 6.
It's fucking confusing, man.
It is very confusing if you watch season 6 and you don't know anything about the characters.
Yeah.
But
it's like someone jumping in halfway through Game of Thrones and be like, "Who the fuck is Daenerys Stormborn of the House Targaryen?" Like,
she just got raped in season 1. You just don't worry. You get to see her boobs in season 1, and that's it.
yeah. Well, no, you see him again.
That's true.
You see him a bunch of times, actually.
Yeah.
Complaints.
She actually used to date Seth Rogen.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Amelia Clark used to date Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen bagged that?
Yeah. He's a very funny man, and girls
he
love
is.
humor.
Oh yeah. He's like that young dad, where kind of he reminds me of like a, he's got the dad bod, he's got the fucking the voice, the fucking laugh.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it.
Other than that, like I just can't remember what else did I watch this week. I just been basically cruising through Family Guy because I have really nothing to watch.
I got nothing either. I haven't really been doing too much.
And it's just, and I never thought I would be like going through Family Guy as fast as I would, because I'm just like, I'm just gonna watch an episode of Family Guy because there's nothing else to watch.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I'm just kind of
it's like, oh well, shit.
talking last week about that 70s show, it made me want to start back from the beginning and just go through that again. I fucking missed that 70s show.
Yeah.
At some point I like to do that, yeah.
I caught it when I was up at my camp. Like, me and my mom were switching through the channels, and that 70s show came on. And it was weird too, because it's that Michigan channel where it shows the old comedy shows. Like, right. I forget what it's called, but it shows all the old comedy when I say old comedy shows, I mean old comedy shows, like comedy shows from like the 50s and 60s, like Leave It to Beaver and like the Honeymooners and stuff like that.
The weird ones, yeah, the obscure ones.
Yeah, and I'm just like what is this show? There's also another show that shows there's also another channel. It's called it's not called Sci-Fi, it's called Comet.
Okay.
And they show like a bunch of old sci-fi shows. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, it's the Michigan channels are hilarious and weird at the same time. Because it's very much, and also it's very much a religious religious station too.
More prominent back then.
Yeah, so I went on a date on Thursday too, which went well. I talked about this with you guys last night. She checked off all my boxes. She has a good job.
I'm glad I could do that for you.
She has a good job.
I was a date for the record.
That we know of.
She has a good job. She has a place by herself. She has a vehicle. She drives
she likes country music. I mean,
and I'm at the time though I told Derek right off the bat, and I'm just like, and I told him like she'd be perfect for you, man.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't really weird. She I texted her like,
you'd be the best wingman. Hey, this is my girl. You should date her. Like, she's just for you.
No, and then I texted her Friday, and it took her like 2 hours to get back to me, and she was just like, "Oh, I'm good," and da-da-da. And I'm just like, kind of gave me some like kind of, whoa, we only went on one date, kind of slow down. It's like, I'm just saying hi. Like,
you're not allowed to say hi nowadays? Like, what the fuck? Like,
she's like, "Hey there, how's it going?" And she's like, "I'm good, period." And then a bunch of other stuff. I'm just hanging out with my friend and her kid, period. And I'm just like,
it's not how it was when our parents grew up. You had to put in the effort back then, but now if you put in the effort, it's too much. So.
Yeah, and I find it's scary. And I find my flirting game online has become like higher up than my flirting game in real life.
Well, it's easier online, right? You're not face to face. You can kind of
just block.
It's just easier. Yeah.
Personally,
it is true. It is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another highlight of my week too was the Big Brother's back on TV. I talked about this last week too. Big Brother's back on TV, so it gives me something to watch on Wednesdays, Sundays, and Wednesday, Thursdays, and Sundays is when it's on TV, and it gives me something to watch. Other than that, though, it's been a boring week.
Yeah.
My parents might be coming by for a visit tonight. I don't know, but we'll see.
It's right at 6:00. Like,
yeah. Well, dinner might be at 6:30 or something, and then last till maybe 8. And if it's 8, they might still consider coming down, because I know Jack's stepdad Steve, he likes to go to bed at like 8:30 or 9.
Is that who they're visiting right now?
Yeah. So
they wouldn't even come down though at that point, 8:00, because I mean they're coming down from
Guelph. They would come from Paris. They're going to Guelph for dinner, and then they might be coming back here.
No, so I mean, like, why not? Why?
I don't know.
Seems like a lot of driving. That's all.
Yeah, but they usually have the excuse to do laundry. But now that they're in that new place in Paris, which is actually a very lovely apartment, when I dropped my dad off, it's a very nice apartment. They live basically on the ground on the ground floor.
Yeah.
But really nice apartment. So let's get into the news.
Yeah.
So the first up, Netflix has released a trailer for an American Pie spinoff movie called American Pie Girls Rule. I put here in my notes another American Pie spinoff movie. There's been many spinoffs of American Pie, starting from 2005, which was the best of the spinoffs. Band Camp.
Yeah.
That came out in 2005. Naked Mile followed Band Camp 2006. Beta House in 2007. Book of Love in 2009. And now this new one, it's called Girls Rule in 2020. So this is basically the same as the first one, except it's from the girls' perspective. So, group of girls make a pact to fix their relationships
by having sex.
But with a whole lot of nudity and drugs and alcohol, probably.
Yeah.
It stars Madison Pettis, who, when she was about 10 or 12 years old, she started in Corey in the House.
Okay.
Lizzie, and she started in something with The Rock. I can't remember. I think it was like The Tooth Fairy or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then Lizzie Broadway, who was in Shameless. I don't watch Shameless, so I don't know who she is. A girl named Piper Curda. She was in Ant Farm. Another Disney show. But at the time of my age, I don't know what that show is, because at the time of my age, I wasn't watching Disney. The only time that show was on when Phineas and Ferb was on, and I was watching Phineas and Ferb because Phineas and Ferb had adult humor for a kids show. Natasha Benham, she had no big roles. I looked at her up in IMDb. Nothing that stood out to me.
Nothing big, no.
Nothing. And Danny Trejo is going to be in this movie.
It's a weird person to throw in this movie.
So Natasha Benham's character is, it's either Natasha or Piper. I don't know. But it's definitely Natasha Benham's character is Spanish. Okay. So I'm guessing Danny Trejo is going to play her father in the film.
How old is he now?
Danny Trejo.
Oh, he's up there. I mean,
he's 60s.
Did you know he made a cookbook?
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we found that out because of
Muppets Now.
Muppets Now. Yeah.
So there's a new Muppet show on Disney Plus called Muppets Now, and it has guest stars like the original Muppet show. And Danny Trejo was a guest star in a cook-off with Swedish Chef.
Really?
And he was making tortillas.
Ooh. I approve.
From seeing, and I also put on the notes, from seeing the trailer, it looks like a reboot of the first one, just from the girl's POV.
Yeah.
When it comes out on Netflix, I'll probably watch it, but I'll be judging when I'm watching.
Yeah. I mean, because after growing up with American Pies, should we have been watching them? Probably not. Did we? Yes.
Well,
I don't think anybody waited till they were of age.
Actually, the first American Pie movie I saw was Bandcamp.
That was my first.
And it was because it was on Much Music sometime.
God.
Actually, the first movies I watched of American Pie were the spin-offs. Like, were Bandcamp and, well, the two I watched were Bandcamp and Beta House.
Actually, Bandcamp, like, that was my first American Pie movie I saw. But I'm pretty sure that if we were grade 7, that's the same year I started watching porn. So it's like, I already had a sneak peek of what that movie was.
See, I watched them from the beginning, like 1, 2, then I started going to the other ones.
See,
I
like,
can't remember the order.
like, I don't remember what year I started watching the American Pie, but
It was the same year that I started watching the other National Lampoon movies.
I don't
like Van Wilder and like
Yeah.
Family Vacation and all that stuff.
Like, I don't remember exactly when, but I do know that it was after I watched How I Met Your Mother. It was during I started late with the American Pie movies.
Jesus.
I know. It was How I Met Your Mother was on TV at the time.
Oh wow.
It was on TV at the time, and Allison Hannigan
was in Bandcamp, yeah.
was in
she
American
was.
Pie 1, 2, and Wedding. And I had the American Wedding soundtrack before I even had watching How I Met Your Mother, and yeah, I just never watched it because it didn't really interest me. And then I finally watched it because it was on TV. And then I went to Future Shop and they had a
box set of it.
A box set of all 3 movies. So I got them, and then I binge watched those before American Reunion came out. And then I watched American Reunion, and I was like, then I watched that, and then I kind of was obsessed with the American Pie movies for a bit.
I still am. They're great movies. I'll watch them anytime they're on. Like,
oh yeah, they're hilarious. Eugene Levy too makes it really. He plays the best awkward dad ever.
Yeah, because he was awkward in Schitt's Creek too.
Yeah,
right?
he plays the same role in Schitt's Creek.
That's all he'll ever do.
Yeah, he's literally.
It's just like, we'll tell your mother we ate the pie. Like,
they definitely didn't need the pie.
Yeah, no, they definitely
if you don't get that joke, you're too young to be listening to this.
So another bit of the next news point: Doctor Strange 2 is going to bring in a young Avenger. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will reportedly feature the introduction of a major young Avenger. The news comes after it was announced that, I'm going to butcher this name.
Chitwell Ejiofor?
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah.
You're better than me.
Will seemingly return as Mordo. So, in a highly anticipated sequel. Mordo is basically Doctor Strange's arch enemy. Like all Marvel Studios projects that details I'm getting tongue-tied. Like all Marvel Studios projects.
He was the Mordo. Mordo was the guy in the first Doctor Strange movie. He put in the thing when he's battling him in the place.
No, that was Dormammu.
So if you want to know how
No, that was Dormammu.
Dormammu was the being in the other dimension. Yes.
Yeah.
Mordo was the other guy who stole the books in the first place.
You want to know how to properly pronounce his name?
What?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Well, he's returning as Mordo, so Mordo was already been in it. That's what I mean.
So Mordo was already in it. He was the guy who trained Doctor Strange at the temple.
Oh,
and then at the end of Doctor Strange, he becomes evil.
Yeah,
because he's like,
he got pissed. Yeah,
because he's like, I want it now. Like, I want to be the powerful one. Blah blah blah.
Okay. Yeah.
Waving arms around and like, but like all Marvel Studio projects, the details are being kept under wraps, which leading Marvel's MCU fan to speculate about who else is being included in the movie. If new casting rumors is to believe, Kevin Feige is going to introduce another fan favorite female character. Because MCU is Disney, Disney loves female characters. They're looking to cast a Puerto Rican actress between the ages of 12 and 15. So the casting is allegedly for the role of American Chavez, aka America Chavez, aka Miss America. This age group may put her a little younger than she is in the comics, but it could just be some seed planting for another origin story. So we have Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness being looking forward to coming out. I don't even know when now.
Next 2 years, probably. 3 years, 4 years, who knows?
Yeah, but
hopefully by 2025. I mean,
but it doesn't surprise me that they're doing this because also Marvel stuff is being on Disney Plus, and Miss America, it will probably show up on a Disney Plus show. They'll probably kind of spin that off to a Disney Plus show. So I can because Disney Plus launched a while ago. I can see them doing a lot of like introducing characters in the movies to be like, hey, watch this character on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
because they tried to do that with the last Star Wars movie with that Lando and that girl, and where Lando said that really creepy line where it's like, hey, where are you from? You want to go find out?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's Billy D. Williams. It's like he's a smooth-talking man.
Smooth criminal.
He's a smooth-talking old man who kind of creeps out young girls.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, looking forward to that whenever it comes out. Jared Leto to play Andy Warhol in an Andy Warhol biopic. So you guys all know who Jared Leto is, lead singer of
30 Seconds to Mars.
30 Seconds to Mars, the Joker in the Suicide Squad. Well, he's going to portray Andy Warhol in an upcoming film, which I find that this is a great casting because Leto...
He's weird.
He's weird.
He's weird.
So Leto posted a series of photos of Warhol and revealed to his followers that he has been cast to play legendary artist in a new project. Yes, it's true. I will be playing Andy Warhol in an upcoming film, and so grateful and excited about the opportunity. Leto writes in the caption. So Andy Warhol was one of the most well-known artists of his time, playing a large part in ushering in the visual movement called pop art. His works include famous Campbell soup cans, silk screen paintings, and series of 32 separate paintings of Campbell soup cans. One for each of the different kind of soup offered by the company at the time. Another famous work of art from Warhol is the Marilyn
Diptych?
Diptych?
Diptych. I don't know.
A silkscreen painting consisting of 50 images of Marilyn Monroe as seen in Niagara, painted in honor of Monroe in the weeks after her death in 1962. Also, Warhol kind of hung out with like Lou Reed, and
he hung out with a lot of people.
He hung out with a lot of people, and Lou like the Velvet Underground, like Lou Reed's band. He was an Andy Warhol guy. Actually, Lou Reed said in an interview that the only reason why he was considered cool is because he sat around with Andy Warhol, did nothing, wore sunglasses indoors, and people were like, that guy's cool. And he's just like...
Is that the staple of cool now?
Yeah.
Well, that was back then, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Andy, what are you doing? No, it's like, hey, Lou, what are you doing? Nothing.
There was a...
Okay, can I sit with you? Sure.
A guy I went to high school with, he was one grade above me, but he always wore sunglasses. No matter what. Inside, he worked out in fucking sunglasses. Like, cool kid, whatever. He always wore it. He kept it himself, but he had these sunglasses.
See, I just couldn't be a guy that wore sunglasses inside.
No,
I'm sorry.
he took them off one day, and everybody's like, holy fuck, you have eyes.
You have eyeballs. This is weird.
No, like, I'm like... Like, it's just... I'm not one of those CSI Miami guys where it's just like...
Horatio Kane.
Where it's just like...
Looks like we've found our man.
Yeah!
Jesus. I can't do it.
Something cool. Saying something cool. And then
some stupid line.
And then some stupid line, and then the Who comes on, and it's like, who are you? And that comes on.
That was CSI New York that had Who Are You?
No, it's CSI Miami.
No, that was Las Vegas, sorry. Had it. Miami was a different Who song.
Oh, was it?
I only know Who Are You was Vegas with Grissom and Sarah, and I remember that.
Okay. But yeah, going back to the Andy Warhol, Jared Leto goes to extremes for his roles. he kind of took over that Christian Bale, like actors put on weight, lose weight for roles, and like Christian Bale's well known for doing this. Like when he played Batman, he got jacked, but then he played like a drug addict. Mark Wahlberg's
CSI Miami.
See, I was right. I know what I'm talking about. But like Christian Bale is a well-known guy for body dysmorphia, where he eats a lot for his role as Dick Cheney in the recent movie he did.
Miami just won't fooled again.
By the Who, yes.
Yeah, but we were saying.
Who are you? Who?
No, that's a different song though.
No,
it's the same band, but
no, there's
different songs.
It's CSI Miami.
No, it's not. The Who and Who Are You? The song Who Are You was Vegas.
Nope. Nope. Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose. Family Guy joke. But yeah, so and Jared Leto does go to extreme for his roles, especially from like if you saw him in Dallas Buyers Club, he played a female prostitute that was like super skinny, and yeah,
he's right. Won't get fooled again is CSI Miami, and then you don't have to play it.
That's not here.
And our next bit of news: so Andy Warhol as Jared Leto as Andy Warhol. There's going to be different Star Trek scripts being made.
Yeah.
Deadline reports that over at Paramount Motion Picture Group, President Emma Watts is looking for 3 different movie scripts for the new Star Trek feature, each of whom will send the franchise in a distinctively different directions going forward. The first of the 3 scripts belongs to writer-director Noah Hawley, who served executive producer, writer, director, and showrunner on FX Emmy-winning limited series Fargo. It was recently announced that Watts has put the brakes on the project with a desire to achieve great clarity on where the franchise is headed before moving forward. If the project gets the go-ahead, it will see Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Carl Urban, and Zoe Saldana returning to the crew, the USS Enterprise. The second script is the one written by Revenant
by the Revenant Scribe,
Mark L. Smith, which Quentin Tarantino was once attached to direct. Although the filmmaker has since left the project, the script is still a viable option at Paramount and is rumored to be based on an episode of the classic Star Trek series that take place largely earthbound in the 1930 gangster settings. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the third and final script is under consideration is the Star Trek 4, the movie that it was intended to be the continuation of the J.J. Abrams movies. And it would have Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth, return to play Chris Pine's father, so Captain Kirk's dad, and a time travel narrative. S.J. Clarkson was attached to direct the movie, but left the project after his duties on Game of Thrones started demanding more time.
I mean, they have to bring Chris Pine back. They have to bring everybody back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I would really look forward to that 1930s gangster.
I mean, that would be cool. I just don't think it would work with the current movies they have.
Yeah, I don't think it would work either because people would not.
The time travel will work more, and even that's still a bit.
The time travel, I feel like I love this idea.
Well, we know it exists in the world, but the problem is that ship was destroyed. There's only one ship made to make that trip.
But the time travel thing is them traveling through time to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
And that's why but like Chris Hemsworth is making that Disney money at the MCU.
Yeah.
So I think he's a little bit out of their price range now. And like he's and also he's doing Thor 4, and he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So,
And if there's ever another Avengers movie.
and
If there's ever, is what I said. If there's ever. Don't know if there's ever going to be another one. I mean, there probably will be at some point. Maybe.
well, there is definitely going to be other Avengers movies. Like
They're still not going to have Iron Man in it, so like I mean, or Captain America, so like I mean.
But they're gonna have Spider-Man in it, and Doctor Strange, and Black Panther, and
No Black Widow.
Winter Soldier, no Black Widow, probably no Hawkeye because he's going to the small screen instead of the big screen.
Yeah.
And I think they're done with Jeremy Renner anyway because he fucked up.
Yeah.
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 What did he fuck up with?
I think he beat his wife.
Yeah.
No, that'll do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
We're not sure,
nobody
sure
ever.
on that, but I think that's what I had heard.
That's a
too.
pretty beefy allegation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really look. I don't know what the other guy's doing with what the Fargo director is doing, but Fargo's that one show that I'm just like, should I click on it? I don't know. Should I?
I've never heard anything bad about it. I've also never really heard anything good about it. So
the first season is like based on a murder and solving a murder in Minnesota.
yeah.
But I can't, for some reason, I can't watch it because of the Minnesota accents they have on
Minnesota there, bud. Yeah.
Oh, Minnesota!
So you're gonna go solve that murder over there, eh? It was Johnny's cousin, yeah. And I was like,
Fuck.
it's like
If we ever had any fans of Minnesota, we have none now.
Minnesota,
Oh, fuck yeah.
because Minnesota borders with Thunder Bay. It's
Did you say Thunder Bay?
Thunder Bay, yeah.
There ain't no
That's
fun.
what I didn't.
There ain't no fun in Thunder Bay. I can tell
I
you
did not
that.
hear the. I heard the Thunder Bay.
Because Minnesota is a border town with Thunder Bay. It has
Us Canadians can't even say Minnesota without being like Minnesota.
Minnesota.
But it's not even that we can't say Minnesota. We can say Minnesota.
But without
It's
the
just-
accent.
It's just funnier with the accent.
But
Minnesota.
Minnesotans have a very like Canadian-esque accent. Because if you start going into Northern Ontario, they kind of sound like that, where they're going,
Oh, yeah,
hey,
no,
bud."
I agree. I mean, we more or less sound like Americans because
We
we're
do
not-
sound
we
like
are
Americans.
So close to the border,
Yeah.
like so.
Actually, one time I was working at the water park, and I had an American come up to me and he's like, hey, where's your accent? And I'm like,
Oh, I forgot it in the car.
I should have said that.
Well, I don't want to bring her up, but I mean, even when Shy was here, right?
Oh yeah, you could tell.
You could tell.
Like, you
But
could tell, like she had a major accent. Like, I mean,
She was that was in a Kentucky accent.
yeah.
Ohio doesn't have an accent.
Yeah.
I gradually became immune to hearing it. I just didn't hear it.
No.
It's just the weirdest fucking
And now you
thing.
never hear it again.
I don't
Yeah.
ever want
But
to.
like when she came over that one day, me and Derek picked it up right away.
Yeah.
But even my mom, like when she first moved down here,
Yeah.
she was talking a little like that. Like she had a little bit Northern Ontario accent with her when she first moved down here.
Who is this?
My mom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed that.
Yeah. She had a little bit. I have a Pepsi here. She had a little bit of an accent, and like her coworkers would comment on it, and then it kind of slowly went away. The reason why we don't have it is because we border with Buffalo.
Yeah, and we're around Americans so much, especially all of us working in the tourist industry when we were younger. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I ever.
That's
really
funny.
had
You
an
go
accent.
3 hours into New York State and you'll have an accent. You'll have a. It just gradually gets
Hey,
more and more.
hey!
Yeah,
Like even Shred and Reagan on 103.3 The Edge, they're out of Buffalo. They have that kind of like American sort of not an accent, but it's
Oh.
just the way they speak. Like, oh, that's American.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I used to listen to a wrestling podcast. It was I don't listen to it anymore because I got tired of listening to them. But it's called the Don Tony and Kevin Castle show, and Don Tony is a New Yorker from Brooklyn and like or Queens maybe or somewhere like that where you can like it's very heavy.
Yeah.
You can tell, and Kevin Castle also kind of has an accent with him too. Even the Jim Cornette podcast I listen to, he has an accent to him because he's from somewhere down south, and
It's the more further south you go, the more prominent.
Thicker it gets, yeah.
Actually, I got my on my way back from the zoo 2 weeks ago. I actually was listening to that podcast with my dad, and like my dad, like if I was trying to listen to that podcast with my mom, she would be like, "Turn it off. I don't want to listen to that." But like my dad was like, "Okay, I'll play along. You can play that podcast." Then, and he would every once in a while he'd be like, "Is this podcast over yet?" And I'm like,
"No."
It's like,
Dad, you don't appreciate it.
It's 200 minutes long, 220 minutes long. Some episodes, but like sometimes Jim Cornette talks about these like old school wrestling matches, and he commentates on them, and he's like, "Boom! He took that shot, and bam! The crap." He loved taking it, and my dad would be laughing in the passenger seat as they're driving the car. It's like, and also the way that Jim Cornette talks, he's like. Jim Cornette has a catchphrase, and it's "Thank you, fuck you, bye."
Nice.
I like him already.
And it's just like, and my dad was cracking up, and just the stuff he says about, and he bashes, and he like spends the first 20 minutes of his podcast bashing Donald Trump. So
as you do.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
So, and my dad loves it. Like the one podcast he was talking about how they had a protest for black people supporting gun violence, and they all brought their guns. And he's like, "You never guess what would happen." In the one his podcasting partner's like, "What happened?" One of the guys shot themselves in the protest for guns, and they accidentally shot the other guy, and it was
my god,
yeah. And my dad got a crack out of that.
I love a good podcast, so like listening to that in the car.
Oh yeah,
I gotta download some to my new phone.
Yeah,
Spotify, man.
Yeah, I love.
I heard there's a Brew for Two podcast on Spotify.
There is a Brew for Two podcast on Spotify. But we'll do the plugs later. Next up is Nickelodeon developing a Patrick Star series. It's not what you think, though. It's not like it's. So sources report that the Patrick Star Show will bring in the same manner of the Larry Sanders Show and the comedy Bang Bang as the titular Starfish hosts his own late-night talk show, while also featuring other members of the Star family and occasionally appearances from zany roster of SpongeBob characters. It will be a 13-episode series and will feature a large list of new characters, many of whom will be voiced by Bill Fagerbake, alongside his...
check on that.
No, I literally think that's how it's spelled. Fagerbake, alongside his portrayal of this titular character. The concept of SpongeBob SquarePants spin-off was first announced in early 2019 when Nickelodeon president Brian Robbins revealed that the network were exploring possible spin-off projects of the hit series, one of which is the CGI animated prequel series Camp Coral, is set to premiere on sibling streaming platform CBS All Access early 2021. So Patrick Star is getting his
Fagerbaki.
That's how, and I think Bill Fagerbaki is the guy who plays Marshall's dad in How I Met Your Mother.
Kind of looks like it. I just saw a picture of it.
Yeah, because the guy who plays Marshall's dad in How I Met Your Mother is the same guy who voices Patrick Star in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is gonna be a weird. This show is definitely geared towards kids.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm probably still gonna watch it.
I'm probably still gonna watch it too. Like
SpongeBob.
Honestly, and this was also a show that is heavily pirated.
SpongeBob, yeah.
It's heavily.
Really?
Yeah, it's on the top 10 list of pirated shows. Yeah, and so because it's on the list, like, even like I'm just like, why? It's on TV. Just turn on your TV.
Yeah.
Why do you have to download it on the internet to watch it on your computer?
So when they say they're gonna have a roster of various, I can feel the death glare. Are they gonna have Sandy? What's her Sandy?
Sandy Cheeks.
Yeah, that was it. Walk out on the show. Like,
oh yeah, there's probably gonna be Sandy Cheeks teaches you karate, or like and she would like do a karate segment, and then or Mr. Krabs or SpongeBob's like learn how to cook with SpongeBob SquarePants, and like it'll probably be like SpongeBob just flipping on the show and learn how to play clarinet by Squidward, and he'll play it poorly, and it's like
yeah.
But like I love the old school SpongeBob episodes.
Yeah.
Like some of the classic Patrick lines, like "Is mayonnaise an instrument?" and "Let's get naked," and
Yeah.
I watched SpongeBob into grade 8.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime SpongeBob was on TV, I'd probably watch it. Like, even you know, being a teenager, like even a young adult. Fuck, if it's on TV, it's
laugh.
like
You can't not laugh. It's
No.
it's so like it's so stupid. It's so funny.
it's such a dumb show, but it's so.
My dad used to watch it with me,
Mhm.
and he would die.
Mhm.
Like I am not a Krusty Krab. Patrick, that's the name of the restaurant. So Patrick Star is coming. The Patrick Star Show is coming to Nickelodeon. Will that be on Netflix?
It's supposed to be, but we'll
It
see.
probably will be because Netflix is partnered with
With Nickelodeon.
So they're remaking Three Men and a Baby.
What the hell is that?
So according to the Hollywood Reporter, Zac Efron.
Isn't that called The Hangover?
No. There was Three Men and a Baby in The Hangover, but that's completely different. So according to Hollywood Reporter, Zac Efron, you all know Zac Efron, High School Musical guy, set to star in Disney Plus's series Three Men and a Baby. The remake is set to be produced by Emmy nominee Gordon Gray, the rookie, the way back. The 1987 comedy was directed by Leonard Nimoy, Spock himself, and starred Tom Selleck, Steve Guttenberg, and Ted Danson as New York bachelors who find themselves caring and subsequently falling for an infant. So there's that.
That sounds weird.
Yes, it's
Kind of pedophile-y.
it was a comedy from the 1980s. I've never watched it. I just know that Tom Selleck's mustache is in it, and
I just think I think of 3 Men and a Baby. I immediately think of The Hangover.
it's,
Like-
that was our opinion.
3 best friends that anybody could have.
Yeah.
I don't really know too much about Three Men and a Baby.
I
think I watched it like a clip of it one time in like when I was a kid because it was on TV, but I don't really remember much. So with that, there's not really too much to talk about there. George Carlin documentary on HBO. Judd Apatow directs along with longtime collaborator Michael Bonafigolo. Why can't these people just have normal last names?
I don't know.
Like
man.
Finlayson
Or Sultan or Crooks. With Emmy winner
Crooks is too difficult.
Joe Bashkovsky editing, reuniting the key creative team behind HBO's Emmy-winning documentary The Zen Diaries of Gary Shandlings, which was directed by Apatow. 3 Emmy winner Ted Leifer executive produces. George Carlin's work becomes more relevant every day. It's an honor to be given the opportunity to tell the story of his life work. HBO Documentary Films is in association with Rise Films and Apatow Productions, are currently in production on a 2-part documentary that the legendary comedian George Carlin, who headlines 14 stand-up comedy specials on HBO over the course of his career. So we're getting the George Carlin documentary, and it's
I think that it's going to be on HBO because that means we can watch it as soon as it comes out.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about time they're finally doing a documentary on one of the best comics of all time.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Was hilarious.
He was hilarious.
Wow, he was hilarious. He passed away a couple years ago.
All his gold is online still, though, thankfully.
I just remember his classic stand-up line where it's like, you know what? You know when you're going in a plane and it's like, and the stewardess are like, please get on the plane, please get on the plane, please get on the plane. And then he's like, fuck you, I'm getting in the plane. Like,
I'm going to go on top of it.
Or it's like,
go fuck yourself. I'm getting in the plane.
or like he was like what's this wrestling? Like they fight for the undisputed championship. So why are there all the fighting? If it's undisputed, why is there the fighting? And then like the 7 things you can't say on TV, and then
I just remember it was his last special, like it was on Just for Laughs, and he did that song for his wife Gracie. That was so good.
Are you sure you're thinking of George Carlin or George Burns?
Oh no, I'm thinking George Burns. That's why.
Yeah, because George Burns had the wife named Gracie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
And then can't think of his name. He was like he's best friends with Johnny Carson and Regis Philbin. Mr. Warmth, Don Rickles.
Don Rickles, yeah.
Yeah. Don Rickles would always like every time George Burns and Don Rickles, they would roast each other on interviews if they were on together. They would roast each other. It was kind of funny. But George Carlin is on that Mount Rushmore of comedy.
He sold out every show, didn't he?
Yeah. And he was featured in like most of Kevin Smith's movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. George Carlin was in Dogma, who I think he played a priest in Dogma.
Never seen him.
Who he played the priest in Dogma who introduced Buddy Christ.
What? Are you sure? Oh no, I'm pretty sure you're right, but I just.
And then he played a hitchhiker in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh, that was him. Yeah. Okay.
Who was this like? Who taught Jay and Silent Bob about the rules of the road?
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's like,
and he
talks about taking a shot in the mouth for a ride to a place.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll take a shot in the mouth, and Jay's like, I'm not gay. And it's like, gay, straight, bi, it's all the same.
Yeah, he was in Dogma, yeah. He was the priest who introduced Buddy Cop. How do I not freaking remember that?
Buddy Christ, yeah.
Buddy Christ, yeah.
And then Jay gets in the car with the sister Carrie Fisher. Yeah. I don't know her name. I don't know the character's name, but she was played by Carrie Fisher. Yeah. And she talks about like, oh, I follow the book, and she's talking about the Bible, and Jay thinks she's talking about the unwritten rules of the road. And he's like, okay, well, and then he tries to go down on her, and she like kicks him out of the car. But that's yeah. So
gotta watch that again.
It's George Carlin, and he's a really funny man. Like a couple years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I was obsessed with watching his stuff online and stuff. But
yeah, he was a funny guy.
Speaking of another funny man, his name is Will Forte, and there used to be a show in the 80s called MacGyver.
Yeah. And
Will Forte did an SNL sketch called MacGruber, which was turned into a film. And because NBC has a streaming service called Peacock, they're giving a straight-to-series order to the Emmy-nominated writer-actor Will Forte's forthcoming action comedy series MacGruber, based on Forte's popular SNL parody sketch of the 80s series MacGyver. According to Deadline, fellow SNL alum Kristen Wiig, who's going to be Cheetah in Wonder Woman 1984, and Ryan Phillippe, whose last movie was Shooter, are in the final negotiation to reprise their roles as Vicky St. Elmo and Dixon Piper, who both appeared on the 2010 film adaptation. The 8-episode series is scheduled to make its debut in 2021.
Yeah, I love the MacGruber movie.
MacGruber's hilarious.
It's so good.
MacGruber's hilarious.
It's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah. I just remember that scene in the movie where he gets all these like muscular wrestlers in the van, and then it explodes. Yeah. And then they all die.
Yep.
That was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Or his just epic ass Miata. They just play that music and just I can't.
It was one of. I mean, like, I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but it was funny.
I love that. That was hilarious.
Like, it's definitely one of the better SNL sketches turned into a movie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, NBC Peacock, NBC Peacock is apparently a great streaming service because if you want to watch like Frasier and Saved by the Bell and Friends and Harry Potter, they're doing, and all the 8 Harry Potter movies are going on there.
It's kind of funny that it's all going to be on there.
Yeah.
I just wish everything would get consolidated into at least like 2 spots. That'd be good.
And like I don't know if Parks and Rec is gonna be on NBC Peacock, but probably is.
Probably would be because that's from them. Right?
The Office is gonna be there too.
Good, get it off Netflix. Get it away from there.
Yeah.
That stupid show. I mean,
I forget you don't like.
It's funny. It's funny how meme culture is bringing people in to watch certain shows.
Yeah.
Because of meme, I feel like because of meme culture, everybody's like, "Oh, The Office is such a great show. I really love The Office. Love The Office." I'm like, yeah, the memes of The Office are funny.
I liked certain parts of The Office. Like I watched it before it became like all these memes came out.
I like the memes, and I've watched the show, and I tried going through the whole show, and it's just
if it didn't have Jim and Dwight in it, I didn't really care.
Yeah, I just see. My thing is, I'm not I like Steve Carell as an actor.
Yeah,
I don't like Michael Scott.
Yes,
not funny.
But like, I like Steve Carell as an actor, but I don't like the rest of the cast. They're not a likable cast to me.
I don't like Steve Carell in TV shows. It's a different format. It's just
like I love Steve Carell at Steve Carell's Brick, and
the Anchorman movies, the Evan Almighty. Like I mean,
yeah, he's hilarious in those.
Absolutely funniest guy. 40-Year-Old Virgin. Like just hilarious fucking movies.
Yeah, exactly.
But then The Office. It's definitely The Office is one of those shows that is 100% just memed into being funny.
Like I love The Office memes too, especially the one where like Dwight is standing there and this girl comes up behind him. He's like, "Fuck!" Like I love that meme. Yeah. And then, but the other stuff, it's like I'm a Parks and Rec fan. I'm not The Office fan.
Yeah, I'm a Him fan. I like Parks and Rec. I think it's a good show. Would I ever watch the entire show? Probably not.
And it's funny. Parks and Rec was supposed to be a spin-off of The Office. And it was supposed to be based on Rashida Jones's character because Rashida Jones was on The Office for a bit, and then she came to Parks and Rec as Ann Perkins. So that it was supposed to be a spin-off show about her.
Yeah, I mean they had Ron Swanson, so I mean,
but Ron Swanson like just took it over, and it's like, hey, here's Nick Offerman.
It's one of those shows like I know it's good, and I know if I watch it, I'd probably enjoy it, but I just don't want to sit down and put the time into it. I've seen enough of it that I know it's a good show. I can say it is a good show. I've seen enough episodes to say it is. Mm-hmm. So, but I will probably never sit down and like watch it start to finish.
And like Parks and Rec's characters are more likable. Like Andy Dwyer. Like I actually posted on Reddit a couple months, maybe a couple weeks ago about Parks and Rec being like, because they lasted 7 seasons. And I posted on the Reddit, I'm like, was season 6 supposed to be the last season of Parks and Rec? Because it seemed like that last episode of season 6 was the series finale. It seemed like, Andy and April are no longer, like, Andy is working on a children's show now because he's this big children's music star for children named Johnny Karate. He's no longer with Mouse Rat, the famous band out of Pawnee, Indiana. Donna is gonna get her. She's doing her real estate. She does real estate, so she's kind of going out of the Parks and Rec. Ron Swanson is revealed to the world of Pawnee that he is Duke Silver.
Yeah.
Like April is doing more things with the government and stuff. Leslie's on her way out of the government. She's going to do work in other places. She works for this national park. And then
I've never seen it, but it sounds like they just kind of brought it back for a 7th season just to like either have like a kind of a victory lap or just kind of close some things off.
I think it was more close some things off. Yeah. I feel like, but like it felt, and it was like the last scene of that episode was Mouse Rat closing out the Pawnee and Eagleton Unity Festival. and Mouse Rat like singing 5,000 Candles in the Wind, which if you haven't heard that song, check it out on YouTube. It's not on Spotify. A cover of the song's on Spotify, and it's it.
Yeah.
But 5,000 Candles in the Wind by Mouse Rat is amazing, so go check that out. But like Andy sings his song, Duke Silver's revealed, and Little Sebastian look-alike is on stage, and it's just great. And somebody said, and I heard in an interview actually for Parks and Rec that they said, "Oh, it was supposed to end like season 5." Like, but we got into negotiations for more seasons.
Popular show.
We got into negotiations, so every season finale was treated as a series finale because we didn't know if we were coming back. So I found that a little bit out. But with this being all said, we are done with the news. The news segment is now over. And now we're going to be going on a favorite segment of mine. It's called On This Day in Film and TV History. 1939, on this day, we got The Wizard of Oz musical fantasy film directed by Victor Fleming came out to theaters. That happened. And 1979, Apocalypse Now came out.
Apocalypse Meow, yeah.
Yeah. And it's also Ben Affleck's and Jennifer Lawrence's birthdays today.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck is 48, Jennifer Lawrence is 30.
There you go.
There you go.
Not much for games. The original Metroid came out on the NES 33 years ago.
Oh,
About it.
Mike, so the NES, Mike, my brother-in-law, he brought the
NES, this is the NES Mini.
Yeah, the NES Mini to camp, and he was playing like Super Punch-Out and Super Mario on it, and like while we were all like kind of this groggy from drinking all day on the dock.
Yeah, they need to come out with the N64 Mini already.
Yeah.
Give me that one so I can play GoldenEye again.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, GoldenEye. Are they... So I've seen some TikTokers like have like a bootleg copy of like GoldenEye, and it's like Mario GoldenEye where you can play like... Or
it's probably some Chinese game.
Or like DBZ 64 kart game. And it's like Mario Kart, but with DBZ characters instead of Mario characters.
It's probably just a modified game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of TikTokers with that. I'm like, it's like, oh, you can race as Goku and like stuff like that. I'm like, it's kind of dumb, but okay.
Yeah.
But with this being said, that is it for episode 43 of A Brew for Two.
Yeah.
And we bid you all adieu, but now it's time to plug some stuff. I'm at agingerfin92 on all social media devices.
Yeah, and you can follow the podcast at A Brew for Two podcast on all social media platforms. You can follow me at King Derek on all social media platforms. You want to plug anything, Bill?
Instagram, Bill Sultan Photography.
Go follow him.
Go follow him. And with that being said, this ends episode 43 of A Brew for Two. Good night, everybody.
See ya.